Is a PowerPoint visible for you all?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yesterday we left off with a list type of variable. Today we are going to look at another variable data type, that is data table. So let's create a new subflow to exemplify that. So if we expand these variables, I can even type data table there, but I'm just trying to show. So here you have a separate category for data table itself where you can perform various actions on a data table. The one that we want is create a new data table. So if list is of one column and multiple rows, then a data table is multiple columns, multiple rows. So here I can configure my data table. If I want to add a column, I do this via the plus sign over here. Let's give our favorite character. And you add rows from here. We have a data table ready now. 3 rows of 3 columns. The name is data table itself. Now we need to read a data table, and multiple ways are there. One is if you want to directly read any particular row or column, if you know the index, let's say you already know that you want to read, let's say you want to find out the age value of Jill, that is first row, and again because index starts from 0, so name is 0 and age is 1, so again first row first column should give us 30. Let's try to display it. My data table variable and square brackets, two square brackets, one for row, first column, and let's run it from here. Okay, so it has pointed correctly, first row, first column, 30. So that is when you know the indexes. But when you want to iterate a data table, you do it using a for each loop. So in the next section, we have a for each loop, but I'll show that in terms of a list variable. Here we'll look for a data table variable. So I'll use a for each over here. So if you can read at the top, for each loop iterates over items in a list or a data table or a data row. So list, you already know, data table is the one that we just saw, and every row of a data table is called as a data row. Right now we want to iterate through our data table called as data table. Let's do that. Let's select it from here, and this stores individual items of that data table into a variable called as current item, and that current item is the current row. I'll show using a display message box so you'll be able to understand. Now we'll pull our display message box here, enable it back. This time, since we are iterating through the data table and each row is represented by current item, we will straight away print the current item over here and see what it shows. Okay, so it has entirely displayed the first row, all 3 columns, name, age and city, that is stored inside current item. Now when I click OK, it should iterate to the second row. This is the second row, and now the third row. This is stored inside the current item. When I click on current row, current item, you can see here the data type is data row, meaning this is one row of the data table. But now, what if you want to display using the column header? So let's go back to our data table and see what all column headers do we have. Name, age and city. So simply in square brackets, you need to give the column name. So current item of name will point out to only the name column of every row. First row name, second row name, and third row name. So that's the way to access it. Any questions about data row, data table so far? Data table is widely used in many things because whenever you extract any table from a web page or when you extract data from an Excel file, it stores into a data table type of variable. So you need to know properly the data table part. You need to understand that how to access. A few more things about the data table. I'll disable the loop. I'll simply take one display message box. Other ways to access it. Now one we saw is using indexes. First row, first column we printed in the beginning. Now let's use a combination of row and a column header. So our data table is data table. Row, let's say first row, and I want the name of that person which is stored on the first row. This is another way of accessing it. Okay. One of name. So if I go to the data table, index starts from 0. So one of name. It has printed Jill. Everything clear with current item, data table, data row, how to access? Any
Yes.
clear? Okay.
Yes.
So apart from these data types, some other data types are there which are generated on the fly. That is what we are going to talk about. Other data types generated from output variables. And there are a few more: Excel instance, SQL connection, browser. They come as part of other actions. For example, when you try to launch an Excel using the launch Excel action. Oops. If you see, the variable produced is an Excel instance type of variable. The specific Excel instance for use with later Excel actions. So you can interact with a particular Excel file using that instance. For example, if you are interacting with two Excel files, you will open one with one Excel instance and another one with a different Excel instance and then interact with each other. So this is a type of variable, a different data type. Another one is, let's say, when you are interacting with browser applications. When you launch a new Edge browser, Chrome, Firefox, it produces a browser type of variable, the Microsoft Edge instance to use with web automation actions. When we come to this stage while interacting with web applications, Excel, I will show you how this variable is made use of. And the other one is when you fire a SQL query, you have to open a connection with it. Okay, this is the SQL connection type of variable, a handle for the new SQL connection. So those were the other data types. We'll be using them going forward. And speaking of data table, one thing I wanted to mention is you can think of it like a collection in Blue Prism that you have. That's a data table over here. Now I'll ping you some links related to variables for a deep dive because it's a vast topic. So just save it for your reference. Did anyone have a question?
No, nothing from.
Okay. Okay, I've pinged you in the chat window. Just save it in your notepad file. Okay, now let's move on to variable related operations. So what all variable related operations we are going to see is we are going to perform an arithmetic operation. We are going to concatenate variables, which we have actually seen, but I will re-mention them. Setting blank values, percent values, different properties, how to make use of them, and the scope of the variables, which we have actually seen. So starting with arithmetic operations, I'll use a new subflow just for clarity. So first we will perform an arithmetic operations without variables, a plain simple arithmetic operation using numbers. So let's say we have a variable called result, and the way is always with 2% sign, and in between 2 plus 5 into, let's say, 3. Now the precedence of the operators will obviously be using the BODMAS rule, BODMAS, bracket of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So in this case, it will not do a 5 plus 2. It will first do a 5 into 3, 15, and plus 2, 17. Let's check it out. So our variable is result. Let's type in result over here and run it. Can you see result has 17 value? Now let's do something else. Let's give the precedence of bracket to this. So this time it will calculate the brackets first. It will evaluate 5 plus 2, 7 into 3, 21. Let's check it out. Yeah, there it is, 21. And by the way, you can even perform this arithmetic operation directly inside a display message box also. Okay, I'll paste this arithmetic operation over here. Click on save, and this time disable the earlier example and run only the display message box. It should directly show us 21. Yeah, there it is. Now this was without using variables. Let's make use of variables now. I'll re-enable this. Let's give it some random value of 20. So result has 20 value. Now in a display message box, let me add some value to the already existing value in the result. So how I will do is take result, then inside the percent sign. Spaces are allowed, by the way, so I can add spaces here. I will do a plus sign and add 30 to it. So result value is 20. 20 plus 30, it should give us 50. Okay, so this is the correct way of using variables in arithmetic operations. So if you do it, if there are, let's say, two variables, number 1 and number 2, number 1 plus number 2, this is the incorrect way. You cannot have two different variables with their own percent notation and then in between a percent sign. The correct way is you remove this percent sign and only have 1% at the end, 1% at the beginning, and then a symbol at the arithmetic symbol at the in between. That's the correct way. This is the case of two different variables. Clear with arithmetic operations before we move on?
Yes.
Okay, let me save it. Till then, what's next? Concatenating text with variables. We have seen this multiple times. Let's check it out. Let it finish the saving part. So let's use this same arithmetic example and concatenate it with something. Okay, again a memory issue. So already our result is evaluated using this arithmetic operation, and we simply concatenate anything by prefixing some text to it. The total value is, and a semicolon. This is the way you concatenate text with something. It could be either an arithmetic, a number, or a text again. Okay, total value is colon and 50. That was about concatenating text with variables. Then setting blank values. Now let me show you the problem and why I have taken this as a topic to teach you, because it's required most of the times to clear the values of variables. If I delete this and go ahead to click on save, can you see it shows an invalid value? So this means you cannot have directly a blank value or do not put anything in the box and straight away go and click on save. It will throw an error. Parameter value can't be empty. So the correct way is again 2% symbol, and generally in any programming language what we do is how do we denote an empty string? Anybody? You can put it as VBA Python.
Apostrophe.
In let's say in VBA,
Yeah, single apostrophe or double apostrophe.
yeah. So it's either two double quotes or or
Double
two
quotes.
single quotes. So I want to show you two double quotes at first. I use this way because I remember it that way, and show you what happens. So 2% symbol, and in between that you need to put two double quotes and click on save. Now remember I had put two double quotes. Now when I open it, it automatically changes it to two single quotes. Pat does it. So I'll show you by pasting it. See how two double quotes look and how two single quotes look. So both ways are fine. That is the point I'm trying to make. Either you put it two double quotes, two single quotes, both are fine. It will make the value empty. So now our value is empty. We click on save and let's try to print the result value and see what happens. Let's remove 30 from here. The total value is result. Perfect. As expected, the total value is colon and blank, no value because it's empty. That's why I showed setting blank values, now setting of percent values. Let's take help from Copilot for something. So I want an input to put in my pad action where there is a percent sign. So give me a short sentence that has a percentage. It will take the wrong spelling also. Percentage symbol in it. So okay, only 20% of the student completed the survey. There is a percent symbol if you can see. Let's add it to our result variable and remove the quotation. As soon as I try to click on save, it will show me invalid value. Why? Because percent symbol is used for what in pad? Can I get an answer? Percent, yeah,
Variables.
percent sign is used for variables. So perhaps pad might get confused with it. So the way to circumvent this is to add another percent symbol as a escape character over here. Now when I click on save, there is no error. And now let's see the total value is result. Let's remove this text totally and see. I hit enter. No, I can't see the, okay, there it is. So we are printing the result. Now it should print our entire line, but this time with only 1% symbol. Perfect. Only 20% of the students completed the survey. So these are very much required importantly in our flows, clearing of values, setting percent values. Let's go back to our topics. Variable properties. Okay. So we'll keep this, or probably, hi, I am doing great today. Now this is stored in a variable called result. Let's go into the display message box. I remove this, go to the variable picker and see where the result is. Can you see this symbol where I can expand it? That will show me the list of properties for that variable. So I have a length of a variable. I can check whether it is empty. I can change it to an uppercase, trim it, and so on. Let's go ahead and calculate its length by double clicking. Can you see variable name dot that property name? So it will give us the length of hi, I am doing great today. Perfect. 27 characters is the length. So that was about variable properties. Scope of variables, as we saw multiple times earlier. Once you declare a variable here, you can use it any of the other subflows also. For example, just now we designed a result over here. Let's go to the data table subflow that we used, and I go to display message, and I simply go to the result picker or data variable picker, and I can see the result variable from the other subflow. That's it. I'll hit cancel over here. You already know this concept. So in short, variables are global in nature. They can be available everywhere, all over the desktop flow. That was the demo piece. Now let's talk about conditional statements. Let me walk you through what we are going to do. We are going to take if statement. We are going to use AND operators, else if switch statement, and where these are available, we'll check it out. Let's add a new subflow called conditionals. A clean one. By the way, there are categories in these actions. So under conditionals, you will see all of that which I showed just now. So what we are going to do is at first we will set one variable. Looks like it didn't drag it. And let's give it a name like num age. So we are going to store ages of people over here. And for now, let's make it randomly 20. And now we were talking about conditionals. Let's go there again. First, we'll begin with the if statement, if condition. It has three parameters: first operand, operator, and second operator. Second operand. So what we are going to check here is if the age of this person is less than or equal to 18, then that person is not an adult. And if it is beyond 18, that person is an adult. So first operand is we want to check the age. So where is our variable? Num age. Let's do it if it's greater than or equal to 18. Again, I want you to take a look at this. So I'll just pull it once again. You have greater than, less than equal to, contains, does not contain, is empty, starts with, ends with, is blank, not blank. Okay, something to try out. So right now we are checking the age greater than or equal to 18. If it is greater than or equal to 18, we will print a display message box. Okay, memory issue. Okay, we'll do a customized message. Person of, we'll make it dynamic. Person of whatever age is given is an adult. Save. Now let's test it out. Run. So person of, I should put there a word called as age. Person of age 20 is an adult. Let's do that now itself. person of age 20 is an adult. And also let's observe the num age variable. Now we will test it, do a negative testing. Let's give a value less than 18. Nothing will happen, and rightly so, because we haven't given any condition for it. And that's where the other conditionals will come into play. That is the else part. If the age is greater than or equal to, it's an adult. Let's do a control C over here. I click on end and control V so that it pastes above it. Person of age, whatever is coming from that variable, is not an adult. This time, let's take the same example and run it. It should go inside the else and display as person of age 10, not an adult. Person of age 10 is not an adult. What do we have? Else if. Now let's talk about a situation where we have multiple age groups. Okay. Let's say less than equal to 10 is a child. Then greater than equal to 11 but less than or equal to, let's say, 18 is an adult, because a person becomes an adult after 18. So greater than 18 and less than equal to, let's say, 59, or perhaps anybody above, yeah, okay, no, after 18 a person becomes adult, so adult should come here, and this should be a teenage or an adolescent. It's different in different countries, the age groups. Let's take it as a teenage, and because there is an equal to sign over here, I make it 17. So less than or equal to 10, greater than or equal to 11 to 17 is teenage. Again, equal to, greater than or equal to 18, and up to 59, let's call them an adult. And anything beyond equal to 60 is a senior citizen. Let's say these are the different age groups. Now we cannot keep on adding else's over here because there are conditions. That is where else if comes into play. Now let's see if I add a comment over here and if I can refer it quite often. Okay, I can see it, so I can refer it and build my flow accordingly. Let's go back to conditionals. So the first else if, or probably we'll begin with the first case, that is what has happened? It's stuck, I guess. Can you guys see an else if mark over here? I think so, it has stuck over here. An else if written, yeah.
Yes.
I'll just save it and try to eliminate it so that it doesn't cause any issues. So we'll add the first condition, if less than or equal to, then that's a child. So again, if num age is less than or equal to 10, then person of num age is a child. This time it's time to add a else if after this. Now we are talking about 11 to 17. So here comes the AND operator part. What is our age variable? Num age. If num age greater than equal to 11, AND operator, again a num age less than equal to 17. Can you now correlate? At the end percent sign, at the beginning percent sign, variable less than or greater than equal to 11, and again variable less than or equal to 17. We have different types of operators over here. Equal to, if both of these condition evaluate to a true, then it will come inside that else if. But we had spoken that if we just write true, it's a text value, so we have to make it a boolean by prefixing and suffixing it by percent sign. Okay, now I'll copy this display message and paste it over here. So what is it? It's a teenage. Person of age dash is a teenage. What do we have next as the group? By the way, you can collapse it like this with this arrow. Okay, so let me take this, press Control C, click over here, Control V, make use of all that we have learned. Okay, the next group is 18 to 59 is an adult. Simply change this to 18 to 59. Keep it as it is. Change the message to adult. Is an adult. Now what is remaining? Greater than 60. So I've intentionally kept this else statement. Any age group that goes beyond this should fall into this, and person of age, if it is above 60, is an adult, should be the message. Let's keep our numage open. Let's clear its old value. Let's see if everything is fine before running. I will save the flow. By the way, our else if that was stuck over here is disappeared. Okay, now for a value of 10, what should be the message as per you? Can I get an answer?
Child.
Let's run it. Perfect. It went into the first message. Person of age 10 is a child. Okay. And directly it will come out. Flow is over. Now let's do some tests for other conditions also. Now we'll put a number that is between 11 and 17. Let's put it as 15. Let's see if our AND operator is working fine. It has skipped the first if, it has gone into the else if and printed that person of age 15 is a teenage. By the way, just for your information, you can even, instead of AND, you can use an OR operator if required, wherever required. You can even add a third operator called as OR over here. Okay, you can even use brackets over here this way, or whatever the next condition would be. Hope you are clear with this. I'll click on cancel so that it won't get saved. Yeah, okay. So 18 to 59. Let's do a test for senior citizen. Let's give something beyond 59. Let's say that a person is of age 60. Senior citizen starts from 60. It should go into the else part. It's like a default case if all the other numbers don't match. Yeah, person of age 60. Our message is wrong, that's why it's showing it as an adult.
Message.
So it should be a senior citizen. Okay, let's is a senior citizen. Let's rerun the same test for age 60 and evaluate the output. Person of age 60 is a senior citizen. Perfect. That was the else case. I'll save, and what do we have next? We saw if with an AND operator. You can add OR operators there. Else, else if. Now switch case. Okay. I'll temporarily remove this so that it comes up and you can see the cases. We already have the cases mentioned in our notepad. Yeah, there it is. So we'll add conditionals. We'll make a copy of this conditionals. Here it is. I wanted to show this feature also. Copy. Right click, paste. Now it says conditionals underscore copy. I go and rename it and make it as switch. Same subflow will get copied. Now we don't want the ifs, we want a switch statement. So after the initialization of the num age, I will drag a switch, and inside the switch, what is always there? The value that needs to be checked against the switch conditions. In our case, it is the num age. We'll go on building different cases. So as soon as I clicked on save, there is a corresponding end to that switch. Okay, so we will build these conditions inside the switch. So for that I will add a case statement, case action. Now what is our first case? Less than or equal to 10. Less than or equal to 10. I will take the same message and drag it over in between that. We are going to reuse it. Now what's the next case? Next case is greater than 11 and less than 17. Now you can see we cannot add an AND operator over here, but switch cases take the direct value. So we'll add the upper value of it, that is 17 over here. So upper range is less than or equal to 17. So the first case will fail and it will automatically go into this second case. That means anything between 10 and 17, that is 11 and 17, will go up in the second case. I need to drag this message over here. Same now we will do with a new case, that is 18 to 59. Greater than or equal to, what is the upper range? I'm sorry, was it less than or equal to? Yeah, less than or equal to, not greater than. The upper range is 59. And drag this same message over there. What remains? Senior citizen person. For that there is a default case over here. I will add it. Default case, whatever comes in will be a senior citizen. Now we don't need the if statements. From here till here I have pressed shift and I have pressed on delete. All those if statements are gone. So age will be accepted here. The switch will take the num age. It will go into the cases and display the corresponding message boxes. Default case senior citizen. Now it's time to run the flow. I'll just save it. Let's start with the senior citizen guy itself. 60 age. I'll keep the variable pane open so that you can see the num age. Now you can expand this and see how the case structure is built, or collapse this. You can see the skeleton. Right click, run from here. Yeah, it jumped into the default case, and person of age 60 is a senior citizen. Let's do something for a age that is somewhere. It will skip 10, 17 and show something that is between 17 and 59. Let's take a random age of 43. I run from here. 43 is an adult, that is above 18 and less than senior citizen. So 43 is an adult is the right message. That's as simple as that. Switch statement. Save it again. What else do we have? So conditional statements are over.
And sir, if in this case, what if we don't? Sir, I had a question.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So in this case, if what if we do not drag the default case? Does it is default case
Not mandatory,
executed or it
not mandatory,
shows?
but a best practice. So I'll disable this, just like how we did it for an if statement without an else statement. So less than 43 will obviously fall here. So do you want to check it for 60? You're saying that particular example, right? When we remove the default case
Yes.
and the age is 60, it won't go anywhere, just like the if without an else. But let's check it out in action. So cases should always have a default case. So nothing happened there because no code was written for it. Got it?
Okay.
So I'll do a undo and bring back the default case. Edit menu, undo. There it is. Now we are inside loops. Okay. For each loop, we saw it against a data table. Now let's see it against. Okay, by the way, there are 10 minutes, and one thing I wanted to show you about data tables was the way, just like the way how we created a list yesterday without the set, I mean, using a set variable action, directly we created a list variable. So what we did yesterday for a list was we used 2% symbol and square brackets 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 5 will create a list of these variables. So how is it for a data table is percent symbol. This will be one row of the data table, but it requires a curly brace at the end. Don't worry, I'll give you the links to handle this. So let's say our first value of first column is John. Because it's a string, it should be within single quotes. Then the age of John. This is one row followed by comma. I copy paste the first row and add a second row of the data table. Now let's make it Jane and 30. Let's see what happens if we run this using a set variable. We are in data tables now. I'll disable this and use a set variable. Without going into the table wizard and drawing a table, how to do it using a set variable, that's what I'm showing. Okay, let's give it a name, something as var dt, meaning data table. Let's keep the var dt open, run it from here. Two rows, two columns have been generated. Let's keep this below so that you can see. So John, first row, 20 is age, first row, second column. Likewise Jane 30, Jane 30. But one thing you might have seen, the column headers are not given. So that's why I wanted to show it to you separately. Now what if I want to add a column header for this? I take any row. Can I zoom it? Yes. I go to the beginning because that's where column headers are. Control V, put a comma, and just before the first square bracket, I use a caret symbol and mention the names of the column. This is a name and this is an age. Because it's a text, I use it in single quote. Let's come out of zoom, click on save, and let's see what happens. The links that I have pasted you, that has got the syntax for what I just did. Two rows, two columns, but this time it should have the column headers also. Caret symbol, name age, name age. Perfect. Clear with this one?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we were now talking about loops, for each loop. Now list. Okay, let's go to a new subflow and do a for each over here. Okay, or rather what I want to do is I want to use the same age assignment. I'll do a control A, control C, go to for each and do a control V. It has pasted all the actions from there because I want to make the use of the same assignment by using a for each. This time we will create a list variable, list of different ages. Okay, we will keep the switch as it is. I'm sorry, the set variable and the switch num. We will do a set variable for creating a new list. Let's call this var list, that is variable list. The way was 2% symbol, and between square brackets we'll add different ages. We'll add all the agents of all the different categories that we have over here. So okay, what my point was to create a list of all the agents that will match each of these criteria. So one is less than 10. Let's add 1 as the age, comma, another age that is between 10 to 17. Let's make it 15, comma, 17 to 59. Our age was 43, and then senior citizen 65. Save. Now what we have done is created a list variable called var list of different ages. Let's test it out by putting a breakpoint over here if we have created the list correctly so far. At least the variable pane shows fine. Can you see a list variable is created, list of numeric values of different ages. Now what our plan is going to be is we will iterate. We are now working on for each loop. We will iterate through this list using a for each loop, pass each of the ages to these cases and see what it displays and how it displays. I'll stop the flow, temporarily close this. Now again, to read a list, we saw that for each is required. For each loop, okay, value to iterate. So as you can see here, it will iterat a list, a data table and a data row. We have a list created, so we will iterate through our list, var list, and the iteration is stored in a variable called current item. Save it. Okay. Since we have passed the num age to the switch, what we will do is instead of setting it from here, we will disable this. The current item will now, we will rename it as numAge. I'm intentionally showing you this. So now individual ages of that list will be stored in numAge, and that numAge we are going to pass to the switch. That is what our idea is. I'll collapse this. And since all of these should be inside a loop, only the end part I will drag outside the switch. So now this is our skeleton. We are accepting, we are creating a list. We are reading each of the list into a variable called numAge, passing that numAge variable into each of these cases and checking what is the age group and printing the message accordingly. Now, since I have to click on each of the display message every single time, I will show you another feature. I go to the message box. What does it say over here? Close the message box automatically. When I toggle it, it will ask me, After how many seconds do I want to close this message box? I click on, I use 1 and save it. So what should happen? After every 1 second, the display message box should automatically get closed. I will do this for every message box so that I don't need to touch the flow while it is running. This is a feature. Have I done it for every other? No, this one is remaining. Okay, now I'll collapse this so that you can see the skeleton in one screen. And let's bring the var list one at a time. We can see when it goes, when num age hits 1, it should print the first message box, then the second and the third and the fourth. Let's see if we have prepared it correctly. Before that, I'll save the flow. So I'll go ahead and run from here. Observe the var list variable, which number it's going to pick. It should pick 1. It should go into the first case, show message box. It has closed by itself, gone into the second one, closed by itself, third one, closed automatically. Then the default case, automatically flow is over. Clear with this assignment, this concept? Many things we did over here.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good, thanks. We have loops condition, next loop, exit loop. We have passed 1 hour, but perhaps let me show you quickly loop. Now I'll take the same for each, make a copy of it, paste it. Okay, now I go ahead and rename this to loop. Why loop? I'll show you. When we go to the loops category, we have different types. For each is what we looked at. We are going to look at loop now, then loop with condition, and then next loop and exit loop. So I will drag a loop after the set variable. So where should our loop start from? It should start from, according to you, the zeroth element, that is the list index, right? Because the list starts from 0, and end where? The end of the list. But we do not have a hard-coded value. It should be dynamic. This is where we are going to use varList.count. But varList.count will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Since the list starts from 0, we need to iterate it -1. Increment the loop's counter value by 1. Start from 0, iterate from 0, 1, 2, 3, that is 4 minus 1, 3, and that should be our loop. Looks like it's a bit slow. I'll do one thing. I will delete the for loop because we are now using a different loop. Because its corresponding end is at the bottom, it shows an error. Now either I can drag the above end over here or keep the other one and use the for one. I'll drag it over here so that it will look like a proper structure. Okay, now can you see this green symbol is for the loop start and loop end, and that is why when you collapse that, everything inside it gets collapsed. Okay, so we have started the loop, but still our num age is not assigned. So that's where we make use of this variable. So anything from this list variable. So var list of 0 will be 1, var list of 1 will be 15, var list of 2 will be 43. So this means var list into bracket of this loop index will give us the age. So I re-enable this and I'll just keep that visible. Var list of into square bracket, it should be 0, 1, but as soon as I add index, it will come along with the percent sign. So I remove everything and keep it this way. So var list of 0 should point to 1, var list of 1 should point to 15, because loop index is iterating within this loop by 1. We have given it in the bottom. With step 1 it is showing here. Can you see here, incremented by 1 each time. So let's see it in action by running it. Created a list variable dynamically, then looping from 0 till the count minus 1, that is 4 minus 1, 3, incrementing by 1. Then the list variables 0 index should be stored into the num age. That num age will be passed into switch, and that will be passed into the case statements. Let's keep a watch on the list. The list you can see over here top. Let's do it on num age, which num age it is picking in each iteration. I'll save it so that nothing crashes. Okay, I'll run it from here. Let's see what happens. This num age should be picked for each of the ages in the list. 1, message for 1, 15, message for 15, same for 43, and default case same for 65. Came out of the loop, flow is over. Clear with this? The loop action. Okay, perfect. Let's go to our contents. For each loop, let's do loop condition tomorrow. Any doubts about today's contents, yesterday's contents, day one's contents?
No, nothing from mine.
No questions? Okay, great. Great then. If no questions, we had a good research, development, analysis, lots of concepts today, which will be required in the upcoming sessions, even while doing the practical assignments and while building your flows also. So have a great rest of the evening then. See you tomorrow. Bye bye. Welcome.